Hey, I'm Chris, and I want to show you how you can build real critical thinking skills. I want to show you this because you've probably been lied to about what critical thinking is, and you've probably been wondering how you can actually apply it in your day to day life. So, I've combined both of those and what actual critical thinking is to help you be able to develop these skill in your day to day life and take the action that you want to deliver onto other people. Does that make sense? So, to start off, the education system prioritizes complacency over critical thinking. What I mean by this is that when you're in a classroom in modern society, you are taught to absorb the knowledge, take it in for a test, and hope you pass. That is what an average individual thinks, right? And critical thinking was attempted to be developed here, but it never really actually worked out because it missed over the point of having to consciously use your brain consistently. And that's a part that I'm going to get into in a second. So, to emphasize on this, critical thinking is the ability to make multiple or singular conscious decisions within a short period of time. And this is also attempted by sports because in sports you have to make quick decisions and you have to make them as quality as possible. But you can only make quality decisions if you're conscious. And the weird part about it is that not many people can actually do that because they aren't understanding the idea of what conscious decisions are. And to start you off with, I'll give you this example. When you're walking to some place, right? Or maybe you're like around your house and you forget where you're going, that's an example of how critical thinking was not developed in you. And this obviously could be due to numerous health reasons. Usually it's stress because people don't know how to manage stress and people don't even know. I didn't even know I had stress for a long time until I figured out that, oh wait, I have these like effects of stress, so I actually am stressed, right? But like it's kind of like how I naturally, it's weird. But going back to you now, I want you to develop this so that way you can become much more aware of your own actions. And to start off with, you can go and try to consciously tell yourself, you don't have to say it out loud, where you're going and what you're doing, right? I'm going to the fridge to grab a cheese stick. Boom. You go to the fridge, grab a cheese stick, and then go back, right? And you're done. It also helps avoiding things like maybe overeating, for instance, right? If you use that example, since you're bringing in this element of consciousness as you're doing an action, it helps you look at yourself and realize, okay, is this action something I want to do? Or is it something that is just stupid but feels like it's going to be good for me? Distinguishing those two is really what the actual ability of critical thinking is. And it's not really taught in schools because they miss over the or they misunderstood the fact that people can learn how to like do things over and over again and then make it subconscious over time. So it really critical thinking helps you eliminate distractions and pass right through your goals and to be able to direct yourself in a way that matters to you. So, bringing this all together, critical thinking was a lie from the education system that was made to make you think that critical thinking relies in absorption of information rather than actually consciously delivering a thought of your own, right? And I find that really interesting because some people still lack that information, which is why I'm here. Which is why I want to share this to you so that way you can understand that critical thinking is merely not just absorbing information, but rather consciously doing something. And to also add on to this is that, sorry, what is this? Okay, so taking this back to sports now, what I'm going to do here is if maybe you play, I don't know, lacrosse or football or soccer, one of the three, or maybe you run or something, right? Being able to consciously take action on the things that are in your mind is an ability that has been forgotten as well. And this is also a part of critical thinking, because if you're only able to put things in your mind but not actually go and do that thing, then you're merely just hallucinating to yourself, essentially. Because you're just kind of idealizing what you can be, and you know what actions to take, but you don't actually take them. So there is a two-part component to critical thinking as well. All right? And to practice the action part, what you could do is when you think about doing something, right, and you think it's good for you, go and do that thing immediately after you say you're going to do it. Okay? And to keep this in mind, critical thinking is not when you have a spontaneous idea to go do something, right? Critical thinking is when you consciously deliberate on what action you're going to take next. So I wouldn't just randomly start running around my house, right? I would say, okay, I'm going to go on a run. I'll go outside. I'm going to go down a street or two and then back. Okay, now you have a deliberate, conscious decision that you must act upon to reinforce your mind and to make it stronger in a critical thinking realm, right? And going off of all this now, I hope you understand what critical thinking is, why it's been lied to you, and now I'm going to give you the 3 tools I mentioned to help you get this understanding and cultivate what critical thinking should be. So, how do you develop this skill? The first thing I have is meditate habitually. And I want you to do this because when you meditate, you're consciously deliberating on the fact that you have to focus on something, right? Usually it pertains to your breath. So, as you're meditating, you're always saying, I gotta focus on my breath. And you start gaining a different skill. And it's the skill to be alert when you're distracted. So, instead of mindlessly scrolling or mindlessly watching videos, you start to understand, oh wait, I'm actually distracting myself from what I want to be doing right now. That's critical thinking as well. Because it allows you to understand that, okay, I don't want this part of my life right now. I don't want this. Set it off to the side. Bring this other prioritized task in, and then go do that task. That is the power of being able to think critically, right? The second one is I have it called know what you're looking at. And this is a huge problem with many people because a lot of them don't understand that you're like, how do I say this? When you're looking at something or someone, you're often not consciously aware of what you're even looking at. So being able to gain that conscious awareness of, oh wait, I am looking at the camera. I am looking at my coffee cup, right? Gaining that idea will really help you develop critical thinking because you'll start to realize what you're looking at as it's a raw way to process information, right? Instead of just trying to, to put this in context, what social media does, for instance, is it overrides your brain, your conscious brain, so that your subconscious is the thing that it has to rely on in order to process the information correctly. But if you do a conscious override and say, no, I'm going to look at just this thing and just this thing at a time, right? Usually 1 or 2 things at most. You begin to understand that, oh, okay, this is that thing and that is that thing, and this doesn't actually provide value to me, but this does. Differentiating between those two is another benefit of critical thinking. And now the last one is breathe deeply through the diaphragm. just like that. The reason why I want you to do this is you start to consciously breathe. And normally for some people, they say it like it doesn't very, like, it's not very nice for them and it feels uncomfortable, but that's the point. Because when you understand that you feel uncomfortable doing that, you start to realize, oh, wait a second, I'm actually starting to notice things around me. I'm actually starting to be conscious. You're like, oh, wait, this is where you start to feel your body and your mind while breathing. Since it's really connected between everything that your body is, and it really helps you feel out what space you're in. And all these things combine to help you realize the skill of real critical thinking. And what I hope you get out of this is that you use these tools in your day-to-day life so that way you develop the skill and then you're able to make your own thoughts and judgments on things, right? So that way you have your own independent thought and it's not just a mob group ideology which you're following, okay? I want to bring up this extra point here. With the creator economy and with things like social media and other things really exploding, it's actually very important for you to develop critical thinking skills so that way you can process through the garbage and get the points across that you need to hear, right? Because you're always coming to the internet for something. Usually it's for dopamine because people are a bunch of rats and they don't actually have critical thinking, like I have been mentioning this whole video. But since now you do have that skill, and good for you, you've watched this all the way through, then you can go and apply that into your day-to-day life for another method, which, if I remember where I was going here, oh man, see, this is a problem, right? Like, I have to train this too. So like I have to be consciously aware of where I'm going in my videos so I can direct the right message to you. So, all right, yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. So when you gain that critical thinking, you're able to individualize your own thought and provide a different value compared to everybody else, yet still have it make a meaningful impact upon people. And that is what I hope to do. So, thank you for watching, and as always, we're here to help you help them.